So Dexter, I mean, zoning laws, good, bad, you for them, you against them, generally speaking?
Well, good to a certain extent.
I mean, I am very much, my libertarian mind just goes, zoning law is evil, zoning laws should never happen. And then I happened upon this article over at our friends at the Union Leader, and I went, you know what, maybe zoning laws are okay every once in a while. So I'll link this in the episode descriptions, the New England Take. I'm your host, AJ Kierstead, with contributor Dexter Tarbox. So there's been rumblings for the last several months that a Diaper Spa was going to be opening in Atkinson, and it got shot down on February 15th by their, or the 14th probably, by their city council. And I was in it. They managed to somehow get it down to zoning laws, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, okay, maybe the conservatives are right on some of this stuff occasionally.
Well, yeah, I think maybe it's unfortunate that it took you a diaper spa to get there.
I have a tinge of anarchy in my mind that I have to fight back sometimes.
Sure, sure. And as a former planning board member myself, obviously I think there's a role for them, and surely this is one of them. Not to say that the role of the zoning board or the planning board, what have you, is to morally police the businesses that go into a town. But there are certain concerns which came to light in this case, particularly their desire to use a public park to bring fetishists clad in diapers, adult fetishists clad in diapers, to the public park where children play. And there, I think, is a good example of land use regulation and the city government coming into effect and blocking something which would have been pretty horrible.
So this is from the Union Leader, quote, Atkinson officials have denied a permit for a new spa catering to adults who roleplay as children wearing diapers, which is planned for the space above a three-car garage on Pope Road residence. Members of the Zoning Board of Adjustment voted Wednesday, which would have been February 14th, to deny the permit application submitted by Dr. Colleen Murphy of 23 Pope Road for the Diaper Spa, that's the name of it, described as a, quote, physician-run diaper salon aimed at all diaper-wearing individuals who seek acceptance, respite, and care.
Presumably diaper-wearing individuals 18 plus.
Yeah,
I
that's the
think
one saying that. We're
a caveat she should have applied. A rather important
caveat. We want to make it very clear. This is an adult fetish situation that is supposed. They've outlined repeatedly that this is for adults, but it comes down to these individuals that want to literally dress like a child, a small child, be treated accordingly, literally wear diapers. Allegedly, the individual will be responsible for changing their own. I don't know if I buy that is necessarily what would be the case. Well,
they have a physician there. Why should they do it themselves?
I know, right? And I would also imagine it's a little bit, like when you watch a movie and you go, why is there an alien suddenly in my rom-com? Kind of takes you out of the story a little bit. I think it would take you out of the story a little bit.
Well, and to our earlier point, I don't know if you know this, I'm not familiar with the final disposition on this, but it seems like maybe the reason they were able to ultimately reject this was because she was doing it out of her house.
Yeah, it's like this is something that she was doing literally above her garage. It was not
that I didn't know.
Isolated location. This was probably the reason why the zoning board was able to actually do something is because this was not a commercial property. This was a personal residence that she was trying to get zoned to for her own commercial purposes here. Yeah, for this safe and judgment-free session where they can express themselves and partake of your favorite activities, meals, snacks, and nurturing. It's like this. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, it's this weird. When we were talking about the gay rights movement 20 years ago or wanted gay marriage, the conservatives were outright saying it's the slippery slope. It's going to enable much larger things with the narrative the progressive left was pushing at the time. This is an example of that slippery slope where people literally thought this was not going to be a problem, and this alleged doctor was thinking that they could just have this happen in it was like a block away from a public park or something that extent. And the original marketing did, like Dexter said, mention that there's a park nearby that we can go on walks to during your sessions, which raised all sorts of red flags. It was removed from their wording. She said during the the board meetings and such that that no, we removed that. We're not going to have that be part of the program anymore. But I mean, once it's in place, I mean, what's to stop this individual from doing it anyways? Let alone the people that are now going to be going there obviously have psychological issues that need to be treated, not this way, but through other ways. Like, how can you trust that to be happening in your neighborhood?
Yeah, there are better physicians, you know, with a jacket that ties around the back of you, who could treat this as opposed to Doctor So and So. But no, as you mentioned, it was in fact a very large part of their advertising on their website that they would have access to a public trail and a public park where other children play. And that was only removed from the website after extensive public criticism. So this was not something where she, this physician who is allegedly behind this, or who is behind this, alleged physician who is behind this, sort of came around to realize how that would be problematic. This is a case where enough of the local residents resisted it that she had to make a change. So again, I think that yeah, there's a bigger question here, and certainly it does go back to the mental health crisis, which is taking over this country, where the zoning board needs to intervene based on land use regulation to prevent men in diapers from wandering around people's children in the public.
And it's going to be dudes. I mean, there's no way around it. These are primarily dudes.
I was going to respond to you about the gay rights movement and say, well, this isn't necessarily men, but the fact of the matter is, this is definitely all men.
It's we're guys.
Women don't engage in this.
It's dudes, primarily white dudes with severe psychiatric issues that need to be committed for a very long span of time.
And because of that, because of the nature of the people who will surely be the attendees at this facility, I think it would make a great opportunity for anyone who's willing to do a stakeout legally on public property to sit out there and find out who is patronizing this facility. Because in cities like New York, San Francisco, other places where sort of rampant hedonism is acceptable and even the norm, these are large cities where faces blend into the crowds and you can really be anyone. In an area like this, you may well recognize your friends and neighbors, maybe even your enemies, entering that facility. And I think it would be very interesting to know in a small town like that, who's coming and going to the Diaper Spa? I think that alone may be enough to have closed it down within a few months, had not the government taken action.
It's something with the craziness of the story. It got kind of glossed over exactly what this person does, generally speaking, like their background and such. And the end of the Union Leader article, I highly suggest you read the whole article because it's bonkers. But at the end of it, I happened to actually read the full story because I was enthralled by how did it get this far. Murphy's website says she's a doctor of medicine, in quotes, and a, quote, board-certified diplomate and certified sexologist, end quote, by the American Board of Sexology. So I did a little
wow.
Not on my work computer.
The ABS.
On my cell phone, far away from anyone seeing what I was looking up, because I was like, what on earth is that? Because that got ignored by the stories. And I found they have a website, AmericanBoardOfSexology.org. And oh boy, are there lots of things on this site. We're not going to spend too much time on it because I would like this YouTube channel to eventually get monetized. And the first thing at the top is, what is authentic Tantra? Registered copyrights.
Yeah. Oh, well, yes. Yeah, they've apparently patented Hindu religious practices. I get a very strong John Money vibe from the name of this academy. Would I be right?
It's nuts. It's nuts. Like, sex therapy is the application of professional and ethical skills to deal with the problems of sexual function of people. Now, in theory, yeah, there is a role in psychiatric care where sexual well-being is an important aspect of it. But it should be part of a holistic view of the individual, because when you look at some of the jobs, I continued to peruse the site once again very carefully as who's looking over my shoulder. Becoming a sex professional, so it's not just therapy. Like, there's much more inclusive.
By sex professional, are they referring to the new colloquialism of a sex worker?
Literally.
Okay.
So go down here.
Yeah.
We're gonna swipe down.
Yeah, don't let your wife find this
surrogate
search
partner.
history.
It's literally a job that is on here. Sexology.
Oh, that's not the phrase they're using now. Surrogate partner, a prostitute.
That's literally what it is. It's what it is.
Oh.
And they're trying
Send the
to make this
asteroid.
look legitimate, that the certifications and boards, these are literally jobs. I found this article like off of their homepage. I did not go deep to find this. And the last two jobs that they stuck down at the bottom are the lowest of the low threshold here, where they can maybe sort of phrase it in sketchy ways to make it sound like a job. If you had any reason to think this diaper spa thing is, oh, it's fine, this is the organization this individual is licensed through. Nothing about this is legitimate. It is all sketchy.
The website doesn't look very legitimate. This is I had teachers at Catholic school in the early 2000s who had better websites than this. This is really I don't know if I would want to take any advice from anyone with this low budget
it's not
a presentation. Yeah. This is not this is not the APA.
No. Like, don't get me wrong, the American Bar Association is one of the worst websites I've ever seen in my life, but
it is.
At least it's not full of these articles.
Well, at least we know who they are.
Exactly. Like, there is nothing about this story that is good except for the fact that they got denied. This business is not going to operate in Atkinson, and once again, we can all be thankful that occasionally the busybodies at the city board do good things.
Well, and Atkinson, of all places to have picked, too. I mean, I could see this maybe opening up in Portsmouth.
Some parts of Manchester, like, not.
Republican Atkinson, I do not think is the milieu for diaper fetish.
Yeah, isn't that town where Chuck Norris had his announcement he's running for governor?
It is, in fact. Trump did an event in Atkinson.
Yeah,
Morris announced there. Morris. He lives there, I think. His business is there. It's a conservative enclave, generally speaking. And I certainly can't imagine their clientele wandering the parks with impunity in Atkinson.
No, definitely not. So
again, these things belong in San Francisco.
Leave them there. Let that be the hive of whatever horrible things go on. We all know what it is. We all know to avoid it. Unless you're going to the expensive tech sector area where no one can afford to live. We all avoid San Francisco. And we go over to lovely New Hampshire, where we say, you can't be doing that here. We don't let you do that here. As free-thinking and progressive as we like to think we are in certain aspects of our lifestyles here in New Hampshire, we ain't that progressive.
No, libertarianism has its place, but not here.
Not here. All right, NewEnglandTech.com and Dexter Tarbox and AJ Kierstead. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get the audio version of the show on your favorite podcast platforms. And, hey, check out all the articles. There are articles, photos, videos, all sorts of things over at NewEnglandTech.com and the YouTube channel. So please be sure to check that out, and we'll talk to you soon.